I thought I'd just step in here real quick. I just got through uh, thinking about something that's very, very significant. Um, those of you who have followed me thus far, hopefully you've gotten a lot of value out of the channel because this channel isn't for me; it's for you and all the people that I may never get to meet face to face. This is all for your generations and beyond. So I got to thinking about a few things, and I want to pose a question to you. So I'm sure none of you parents, cousins, uh, uncles, aunts, would not hesitate to help someone out that you had the power to help out, especially dealing with, a physical life or death situation. Now, here's why I mention that. We go to extraordinary measures. We would go to extraordinary measures to do so, right? I've heard all kind of just within my own family, um, where a person who didn't know how to swim jump in and try to save another person who didn't know how to swim. So, and then somebody else had to come in and help. A few other people had to come in and help. Thank the Lord that, and this was years and years ago. This was decades ago. But the person that jumped in to save the other person, they were brothers, right? They grew up together. They went through some hard times, right, together, and they grew together, and they stayed close, and they're still close today. So I say that to say this. Well, first of all, let me go ahead and invite you to the podcast tomorrow. It's going to be rocking, a continuation from last week, and understanding who you truly are. And if you are not a kingdom citizen, um, still come anyway, because I promise you, you're going to learn something. And obviously, me being a businessman, I'm going to talk about some business things. Everything I talk about is all about business. It's kingdom business. You may not understand it, but if you keep following, you will, I promise you, understand that it involves business, right? If you understand the definition of business. So again, I said all that previously to say this. Um, so I'm revealing to you some things that took a lot of money, time, investment over this last 25 years to share with people for free. And yes, I'm taking time out that I'll never be able to get back, but the time realm that we're in is a clue to all of us that we're on the clock, right? If you're into basketball, you ever see Damian Lillard go, it's Dame time. So every second is Dame time, right? Um, and so every second is our time individually. And so the information, remember what I said, the three things that we need to get. Number one is information. Well, knowledge, right? Knowledge means information, which means light in the Hebrew, right? The opposite of light is darkness. Second thing is understanding. Understanding. And then once you get understanding, I would present to you that we need to get overstanding. You should look that up. That just means a deeper level, a much deeper level of overstanding. And as you're getting that, wisdom will automatically take place. Why? Because once you get the first two, once you get the knowledge of a certain situation, knowledge of what I said before, everything is governed by laws, right? You have unseen laws and you have natural laws. So once you get the knowledge of those laws, you're going to get excited. You're going to want to learn more unless you have a broken spirit. And you already know what I mean by a broken spirit. It means that the the powers that be, the culture and some of the things that have oppressed our thinking and emotionally and even physically, through the decades, 100 years, 200 years, keep going back, um, where they subliminally, in some ways, push people, cultures, societies, and everything like that, to where they develop a system where you think there's no way out, right? There's no way out I can achieve my dream. There's no way out that my son or daughter can go to college without, graduating, being $100,000, $200,000 in debt. There's no way that I can leave, an estate or wealth to my kids and everything. I can assure you, I promise you, if you continue to keep listening, I promise you, if you follow and apply some of the things, and by the way, I'm gonna throw this out there again, I'm gonna be writing a book also too, one of many. Um, those previous talks I've been doing has opened the door, keys. That's what I've been giving people, keys. In other words, access to laws. Okay. And those laws open up to where the next door neighbor or somebody across the street may not know what you know, and you apply those laws consistently with a good attitude by the reading of the books, the audios, the tapes, and so on and so forth, and blocking out the negative, the things that I suggested. And the same situation can happen, and you would ascend, and maybe your neighbor would descend or plateau. You see what I'm saying? Because laws work no matter what color you are. You just have to get the information. So I got to get ready to go, but here's why I said that. So I recently found out some information. The whole podcast I've been talking about this, the unseen, the spiritual side, the mental side, because that's the 2/3 of us, the triune being, spirit, soul, body, right? We're a triune being, right? And then the physical aspect, as far as being an American, if you're an American, I've come across some very, very important information that I'm learning right now, and I'm going to be teaching it also too. And eventually I'm going to be teaching it and I'm going to be charging for it, because, nothing is free, right? Nothing is free. If you got it for free, somebody paid for it, right? Somebody had to manufacture it. It had to be moved. Somebody paid the price for that. And see, a lot of times when things are given to us free, and I've been guilty, I'll be the first one to tell you, we take it for granted, okay? And so with that being said, some of this information I've learned, as I said before, I'm learning right now, and I'm gonna learn the ins and outs of it. Just give me some time, and I'm gonna be teaching it to people. That's going to blow your mind. Outside of stuff I've already been divulging also too to people. I guarantee you 100%. And so this is part of my calling, right? Everybody has a calling, everybody has a gift, and this is the part of my teaching calling, right? I have other gifts also too, but I'm mastering this one right here. So I just want to drop that in, want to let you guys know, don't take the information for granted, because a lot of times, a lot of revelations that I've gotten was when I was going through a lot of rough times, whether it be in marriage, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in family, whether it be in all different kind of things. And I'm telling you, a lot of the stuff that when you hit those tough times, that's when you need to hone in. That's when you need to narrow your focus. That's when you need to get upset. That's one of the things I learned to is you need to get angry. That anger has to supersede that emotion of fear, anxiety, or something like that. But if you don't, guess what? Fear take over your mind. It'll paralyze you. You can't learn if you're afraid, if you're anxious, you're always worried. It's impossible you can't learn, right? Your mind's not thinking clearly. So it's like it's kind of like smacking a computer, and you see it kind of, you see the screen kind of blink, That's what it's like with our mind, because you got to remember our body is electrical, right? But also our brain is electrical, right? Which is part of our body. But our spirit actually is electrical also too. You see Anyway, you just listen to some of my previous talks. So I'm very excited. I'm very pumped up. So tune in to tomorrow, 7 p.m. Let your friends, family, neighbors know, and everything like that. I have something very good to talk about, great to talk about. I'm excited. Obviously, as you can tell, every time I get into it, I'm excited because as I'm teaching, I'm learning also too. So I'm actually, even though I'm talking, I'm actually hearing also too, because you hear through your inner ear, and your inner ear actually is also connected to your spirit. So that was for free. I learned that long time ago. Probably 15, 20 years ago or something like that. So that's why you believe yourself more than you believe anybody else. And that's why when everybody outside externally can be pouring negative on you, obviously you should get away from that. But if you can't, if you're a captive audience, like at a job, if you cap the negative that you can control, here's another tip also too. This is part of another law, the law of input and output. You should write this down. Write this down. If you do that, guess what's going to happen? It doesn't matter what happens externally as you're speaking to yourself and reading to yourself over and over again in that vision list that I told you guys to write down in detail, no expense spared. Just write it out, your vision list, right? And guess what's going to happen? Your confidence in yourself is going to rise up and you'll be bulletproof mentally. I said earlier when I was sending something about what I was telling you about what I'm finding out about us being Americans and our rights and so on and so forth. I sent him a text and I said, you're going to be a mental Rambo. You know, go back and look at Rambo 1 and Rambo 2 or either one of those videos. It's obviously pretty violent or whatever like that. And so is war. But the biggest war is between our ears, because the biggest war between our ears is going to determine the war that our kids fight right now and 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, grandkids, 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now, right? So I just want to drop that. I got to get out of here. You guys have a great night. Don't forget, your future's not ahead of you. It's trapped on the inside of you in the form of a seed. Plant your seed in the right area so your tree can come up and bear fruit so you can serve your fellow man. Peace out.